Good afternoon, everyone. This is County Executive Pat Ryan. I hope you are doing well. Today is a significant day for Ulster County and for the whole Mid-Hudson region. We officially begin Phase 2, which is without question the biggest step that we have taken in our reopening process and our ultimate recovery process. So the bright blue skies today feel fitting for what I think is an overall very good day in Ulster County. I'm going to start with the numbers as we always do, and then we'll talk a little bit about reopening and some of the things we're doing to support our businesses as they are reopening. So every day, I am always happy to report and say that every day the numbers are getting better and continue to do so. We cumulatively have had 1,766 cases total since the beginning of COVID, and we have tested now over 22,000 residents. So we're at 7.9% of those tested coming back positive. Last week that was at 9.9%, so we continue to see that go down. Unfortunately, we continue to see a few fatalities every week, and we're now at 83 fatalities of Ulster County residents. However, we have had over 1,212 residents recovered from COVID, so that is obviously good news. And of course, as this continues to play out and COVID does what it does tragically, we absolutely send our condolences to all those that have lost someone and also to those who have family members in the hospital either here or anywhere around the country right now. We know other parts of the country are still at or reaching their peak, and we were first here in New York, but we recognize that others are dealing with this and that we're all connected by this, unfortunately. In terms of projections out at this point, you can see those numbers. We're only really seeing a few new positive cases each day at most. So those projections look very good at this point as we head into Phase 2. In terms of hospitalizations, we are holding steady at 7 individuals in Ulster County hospitals right now. That has been the case really since the month of June started, essentially. So that is positive, and one of them remains in an ICU bed on a ventilator. The number of active cases in the county each day is going down now. So each day we get a few new positive cases, but we have many more people that are recovering. So that's the trend that we want to continue to see, and we are now at 471 active COVID cases in the county. That we haven't seen that good of a number since really back in late March or early April. So that continues to trend downward clearly. I do think it's important, if you zoom out and look at this graph, to see that the spike of growth is much steeper than the downslope on the other side of recovery. And that makes sense that it's taking longer for people to recover than it took them to get COVID. But the trend line is very clear and downward sloping, and it's going to be a great day when we can see that number obviously go to 0. And everything we do as part of reopening is focused on continuing that downward trend of that active case line so that we don't, as we take this major step forward, we obviously don't want to have to take any steps backwards. In terms of new cases, again, we're seeing basically record-breaking lows from within the period of COVID here. We tested in the last 24 hours 423 residents, only two positive cases of 423. So we're now at well below a 1% positive rate as we're testing in the last few weeks, really. And I'm also very encouraged that we're seeing a lot of tests continue to be done, hundreds per day, in some cases approaching. One day we're over 1,000 in a 24-hour period. So we do encourage everyone to continue to be tested, especially as you're getting back to work or feel that you may have been exposed to COVID. And of course, if you're showing symptoms. And last update here, our hospital capacity slide that we regularly share and update. We're still holding at the same posture and in very good shape. and we do retain significant surge capacity within the hospitals if and when we need that, which, of course, knock on wood, we will not need that. So that is the public health situation. I really think heading in, we're now, we've completed 2 weeks of phase 1. I believe that we absolutely at this point would have begun to see at least the early indications of numbers going up from the phase 1 if they were coming. So that, again, is a credit to everyone watching, to all business owners and every resident who, as we've started to relax restrictions, has continued to wear masks, maintain distancing, wash hands, and so on. So I think that should be a positive takeaway, that we can do this reopening in a way that really minimizes as much risk as possible, but lets us get back to business again as close to normal as we can get. So as we transition now into phase 2 today, it's been just over 100 days of, if I put myself in the shoes of so many business owners, the 7,000 plus business owners in our county and leaders of other organizations, it's been over 100 days for many of whom who've seen no revenue or little revenue, have had to lay off workers, have had to, in many cases, dramatically change how they're doing business. So we've been doing and will continue to do everything we can to help you all recover and reopen, and ultimately to realign our economy coming out of this, so that we can hopefully emerge stronger, better, and more equitable in our economy as we come out of COVID. Again, I just want to make clear that the industry's opening in phase 2 in particular, if you compare that to phase 1, if phase 1 was sort of one step, 3 meters or whatever the size of a step is, this is 2 or 3 steps in terms of how many businesses are captured in phase 2 versus phase 1. And we'll go through that list in a second. But this is by far the most significant progress. And that's good news, but it also means that we have to be particularly careful and cautious in how we do this, given that the risk does go up with each step that we take. To remind everyone, and by this point you probably are tracking each of these different phases, but to make sure that everyone is aware, here's the list of phase 2 businesses that are cleared to reopen today on June 9th. That includes any office-based setting, real estate, essential and phase 2 retail now with in-store. So you can now do in-store retail with some limitations. Vehicle sales and leases and rentals, any retail, rental, repair, and cleaning, commercial building management. Good news for all of us, hair salons and barber shops with some limitations, and outdoor dining, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a second here. But again, between phase 1 and phase 2 now, we've really probably encapsulated 80+% of the businesses in the county that are now allowed to reopen with restrictions and with the requirement that there be a business safety plan in place. Here's just, again, a zoom out reminder of what was in phase 1, phase 2, and then 3 and 4 to come. If we remain on this trajectory that we're on, where it's 2 weeks between each phase, that would put us at June 23rd, if my math is right, which it may or may not be, for phase 3, which primarily includes a more full opening of restaurants and food services. But through outdoor dining, we are also opening those up a little bit more, even in phase 2. So I want to talk a little bit about what that looks like and what we've been able to do here in Ulster County with outdoor dining. I want to start by just thanking all of our restaurant owners, and in particular, I want to thank Ward Todd and his team at the Ulster County Chamber of Commerce, who early on recognized that our restaurants were one of the most impacted by COVID, and that we needed to do everything we could to support them, as we have with many other industries, of course, but who really pushed for an exception to allow us to open up restaurants for outdoor dining so that they can get going again, but do it in an open, safe way. And we know that we feel, and the state has validated that is a safe approach. So myself, other county executives worked along with the chamber to allow outdoor dining. We held multiple meetings and Zoom calls with all of our restaurant owners here in Ulster County. Just yesterday, we did a meeting with all restaurant owners and then a separate meeting with local municipal leaders, town supervisors and mayors, to discuss how we can roll this out and expedite this process of outdoor dining. So it really has been a collaborative effort to think through how to do this safely and how to get going. And I think that's a model that we have replicated elsewhere and will continue to replicate. So today I am signing an executive order that specifically waives or helps to waive local regulation that could delay outdoor dining. So ultimately we'll be working with each municipality to, as well as the state liquor authority, to make any changes needed in zoning and ordinances to allow this to happen safely and to support our restaurants, all of whom I know are eager to do this. And then finally, at least to start in the city of Kingston, and we're looking at other areas, we are going to open up county-owned parking lots, 3 county-owned parking lots in the greater Kingston area to provide additional outdoor dining space that customers can use and that restaurants can use, not for table service, but for essentially for outdoor dining. So an individual or a family would go to a restaurant, they would basically order takeout and then take it to this outdoor dining area where we'll have tables. So we'll be opening up on the weekends, starting Friday at 5 p.m. through Monday at 6 a.m., 3 of our county lots, 1 behind the Ulster County Courthouse, 1 right here at the county office building, the employee lot behind the county office building, and then 1 at our Restorative Justice Center out on Broadway in Midtown Kingston. And again, the idea there is that we want to do our part as a county to help support both restaurants and all of our, I know how many people I've talked to and heard from that are just very eager to get out and eat a meal outside of their house, and to do it outdoors safely with these restrictions put in place. We want to help facilitate that. So between our executive order and opening up those lots, we'll be doing that, and we're working with all of our towns who are interested to help them do it as well and provide that support. But I think this is a great example of a creative solution to a challenge of how we can get the restaurants going again a little more quickly. And in other industries, we're working on similar initiatives. And if any of you have these ideas, please bring them forward to myself, to the Chamber of Commerce, to your town leaders and mayors. And we're excited to work to get everything going safely and responsibly, of course. On that note, what does that look like? What does safely and responsibly look like? We're doing everything we can as a county, particularly through our economic development team, to be here to support our businesses and nonprofit organizations and others as they transition into phase 2 and those that have transitioned into phase 1. So we wanted to make it as simple as possible because I know this can be a little complex. We built a 5-step checklist that outlines the steps that each business needs to take. As a reminder, the first step is just determine which phase you are in, which you can find either on our county website or the New York State Forward website. Read the guidelines put out by the state that are specific to your industry. Use those guidelines to create a business safety plan, which is just a few-page document that outlines how you'll protect your workers and your customers. And then just affirm online to the state that you've completed that and fill out a 1-question survey for Ulster County so we can understand how we can help you as well at the county level. I know those are extra steps, but we've tried to make this as painless as possible while still understanding and respecting that, again, we're taking major steps forward here, and we just want to be sure that as we take the steps forward, we've thought it through and don't need to go backwards in any way. And as at the individual level, what can we all do? I think you all know this by now, but it bears repeating. As we are out and about, as more people are going to businesses, we've now seen, which is another encouraging development that myself and other county leaders push for, our churches and other faith institutions are now able in phase 2 to have up to 25% of capacity. So I think that's very good news and a really critical moment for people to be able to get together with their faith leaders and with their faith community and navigate all the difficult things going on right now. So whether you're going to your church or your synagogue or your mosque or whatever your faith institution is, whether you're going out to a store or outdoor dining, remember to continue to wear masks, maintain that social distancing, and of course, hand washing and hand sanitizer. And we're also helping support our businesses to make sure that they have access to hand sanitizer, to PPE for their workers. At this point, I think that is increasingly available, but if you are needing help on that, you can definitely reach out to us as well, and we have some resources on our website, which is ulstercountyny.gov, if you are in need of trying to procure some of that PPE or equipment, and we're here to help. Finally, as we wrap things up, I want to continue to update you all on Project Resilience. Again, one of the things I'm most proud of coming out of COVID has been this initiative and what this initiative signifies about our community and our willingness to come together, to take care of each other, to recognize that everyone has needs right now that they may have never experienced, particularly food insecurity. And so we've now delivered 231,935 meals between prepared meals and groceries. And again, our restaurants that are now finally open for outdoor dining were absolutely instrumental to this effort, as were hundreds of volunteers that are still out there, and mayors and supervisors still out there making sure that the food insecurity needs of their communities are being met. So thank you all for that, and thank you to everyone who has contributed any amount of financial support to Project Resilience. If we think about, and it feels like a long time ago, but it was really, about 3 months ago, that there was this spirit and this sense that we really are all in this together, and that what we each do will fundamentally impact each other. And to see the community rally specifically around resilience, I just want to, I ask everyone, as things get more difficult and we continue to have some of these restrictions in place, try as best you can to remember that sentiment, that feeling that we had of community, of togetherness, of interconnectedness, and of the willingness to help those around you. And I know so many of you are doing this on a daily basis, but I just don't want us to lose that. I don't want us to forget that, because I think it's one of the most important feelings and realizations that I and many others have had as a silver lining to this tragic pandemic, is this sense of community and resilience. So we as a county government, I can tell you, and I personally am trying to do everything I can to maintain that spirit as we do everything we do, as we conduct our recovery and reopening efforts, and all the other work that we do on behalf of the 180,000 residents of our county. So thank you all for inspiring me and inspiring us in that effort. And on that note, as we always do, a thank you to so many out there that are putting themselves at risk, have put themselves at risk. Words can only go so far, and we are undertaking a series of other things to go beyond just words, but I don't want to forget the importance of saying thank you to all on the front lines. Thank you to our healthcare workers. Thank you to our first responders. Thank you to law enforcement. Thank you to our delivery workers, journalists, public transit workers, teachers, mail carriers, and so many others. Let's also not lose that sense of appreciation, both for those folks putting themselves at risk, but also just for the work that they do and that they have done for our community, that maybe we didn't appreciate fully before, but that we absolutely appreciate now. And that's another thing that I hope we can maintain, that spirit of appreciation. So thank you all for everything you're doing. I hope that phase 2 goes even better than phase 1, which I think has gone very well. And just know that that is in all of our power to affect. So please continue to hang in there. I want to thank also Radio Kingston, who continues to help us. Yeah, there's a shout out. Or was that a dog bark? I don't know. Shout out from the Radio Kingston team. I can say on a personal note, if you can't tell, I have not got my phase 2 haircut yet, but I'm very excited to do so safely. And if any barber has an open slot and you want to, sneak me in, don't hesitate to send a Facebook message. I was looking online and some of them are booked 2-3 weeks out already. But in all seriousness, thanks everybody. Thank you to Manuel for translating to Spanish language, and to Diane and Roxanne for sign language. And thanks everybody out there doing your part. Stay healthy, stay safe and resilient, and we will see you on Thursday at 2 p.m.